Let's talk about building asynchronous applications in Rust using two of the most popular runtimes available today, Tokio and Smol. If you've been following along with our Rust series, you already know how Rust's async functions and the await keyword give us the power to write asynchronous code without blocking threads. But async on its own isn't enough. You need a runtime that drives those async tasks forward. That's where runtimes like Tokio and Smol step in. Let's start at the very beginning. When you write an async function in Rust, it returns something called a future. Futures don't do anything on their own, they're lazy. They just describe a value that will be available in the future. To actually run them, we need a runtime, something that takes those futures and executes them to completion. So let's start with Tokio, the heavyweight champion of async runtimes in Rust. Tokio is an asynchronous runtime that powers a huge portion of the Rust ecosystem. If you've ever worked with web servers in Rust like Oxum or Warp, or if you've used clients like Request, chances are you've been running on top of Tokio. It's feature-rich, fast, and highly battle-tested in production. Let's take a look at a simple example using Tokio. Here, we have the attribute Tokio main on top of our main function. What that does is set up a Tokio runtime for us automatically. Inside, we call an async function sleep, which simulates waiting for 2 seconds, like a network call or database query. If you run this, you'll see the fetching data message immediately, then after 2 seconds, data received. That's async in action. Now suppose you want to make multiple API calls in parallel, maybe fetching stock prices from different services at once. Here we have 3 tasks, fetching Apple, Microsoft, and Google stock data. Each one takes a different amount of time. Notice we use Tokio join to run them all at the same time. The beauty of async here is that the runtime switches between these tasks as they wait, so all 3 complete much faster than if we did them one by one. In real life, instead of sleep, you'd be making HTTP requests with something like Request, and Tokio would allow you to make hundreds or thousands of concurrent requests without blocking your program. Now let's talk about Smol. While Tokio is large and feature-rich, Smol takes the opposite approach. It's small, lightweight, and minimalistic. Think of it as a tiny runtime that does one thing well: execute async tasks. Smol is especially useful when you want to add async capabilities to a library without pulling in a huge dependency like Tokio. Let's look at an example with Smol. Here we use small block on, which is a function that runs our async block until completion. Inside, we use timer after, which is Smol's equivalent of async sleep. It waits for 2 seconds and then prints task done. That's a very similar structure to what we saw with Tokio, but the setup is different. Smol doesn't require any procedural macros like Tokio main. It's just a function call. Now let's make this more real-world too. Suppose you're building a command line tool that checks the availability of multiple websites at once. With Smol, it might look like this. This little program tries to connect to port 80, HTTP, on 3 different domains. If it succeeds, it prints that the connection was successful. Otherwise, it prints an error. This is something you could imagine in real life, maybe as part of a health checker or a monitoring tool. Smol makes this lightweight and straightforward. So when do you use Tokio, and when do you use Smol? If you're building large, production-grade applications, web servers, databases, messaging systems, Tokio is usually the way to go. It has tons of ecosystem support, and most major libraries are built on top of it. If you're writing smaller tools, libraries, or just want a very lightweight runtime with minimal dependencies, Smol is a fantastic choice. It's especially good if you want to embed async into something without pulling in all of Tokio. For example, if you're writing a desktop application with async networking features, but don't want the overhead of a full Tokio runtime, Smol might be perfect. On the other hand, if you're writing an async web service that needs to scale to thousands of concurrent clients, Tokio gives you the robustness and ecosystem you'll need. Now let's look at some practical, real-world scenarios, where we'll see both Tokio and Smol in action. By the end, you'll have a strong sense of where you might use one or the other in your own projects. Before we dive into the examples, let's take a quick look at the dependencies we'll be using. First, we have the 2 asynchronous runtimes we'll be focusing on, Tokio and Smol. They're the engines that will execute all of our asynchronous code. For making network requests, we'll use Request and Surf. Request is the go-to choice for Tokio, while Surf is a great choice that's compatible with Smol. To handle the data we get back from those requests, we'll use surd.json, which is a crate for working with JSON data. For running multiple tasks at once, we'll use the futures crate, which provides the join macro. And finally, for non-blocking file operations, we'll use asyncfs, which is a crate that works with Smol. With that in mind, let's jump straight into the code. Let's start simple. Imagine you want to spawn multiple async tasks that run concurrently. Here's how you would do it in Tokio. It spawns 2 separate, non-blocking tasks using Tokio task spawn. Each task prints a message and runs concurrently. The program then waits for both tasks to complete using a wait on their respective handles, handle 1 and handle 2, which ensures that the main function won't exit until both tasks finish. The unwrap handles potential errors, assuming the tasks won't fail. And the same logic in Smol looks like this. The small block-on function is used to run the main asynchronous block, essentially bridging the gap between synchronous main and asynchronous operations. Inside this block, Smol spawn creates 2 lightweight, non-blocking tasks. Each task simply prints a message and runs concurrently. The program then uses a wait on task 1 and task 2 to wait for both of them to complete before the block-on call can finish and the program can exit. Both do the same job. They spin up async tasks that run independently. Already you can see the difference. Tokio uses its attribute macro Tokio main, while Smol uses small block-on. Say you want to simulate waiting, maybe like pausing between API calls. In Tokio, the program prints starting, then pauses for exactly 2 seconds using Tokio times sleep, which is an asynchronous and non-blocking operation. This means the program doesn't freeze, but instead yields control back to the runtime, allowing other tasks to execute. After the 2-second delay, the program resumes and prints, finished after 2 seconds. In Smol, it uses small timer after to create a non-blocking delay of 2 seconds. This allows the program to wait without consuming CPU resources. After the delay, the await call completes and the program prints finished after 2 seconds. Perfect for simulating network delays, back-off strategies, or even pacing log messages. Let's get more practical. Suppose you want to fetch JSON data from an API. With Tokio paired with request, the code looks like this. The request get function sends a get request to a specified URL, which is a mock API endpoint. The await calls pause the execution until the response is received and an optional error is handled. The response body is then parsed as JSON into a SERD JSON value type using .json. Finally, the program prints the deserialized JSON object to the console. Let's do the same with Smol, using surf. The small block-on function runs the asynchronous code. Inside, surfget sends a get request to a mock API endpoint. Received JSON then reads the response body and parses it as JSON. The program uses a wait to wait for the operation to complete and unwrap to handle any potential errors. Finally, it prints the deserialized JSON object to the console. This is where async shines, non-blocking network calls that let you scale up to hundreds or thousands of requests. Now let's say you need to fetch multiple URLs at once. Tokio makes this super clean with join. The request get calls for 2 different URLs, to do /1 and to do /2, are started but not yet awaited. The join macro then executes both F1 and F2 concurrently, waiting for both network requests to complete before proceeding. This is more efficient than fetching them sequentially. The responses are stored in the response1 and response2 variables, and the program then prints them. Smol works similarly with futures join. Surfget is used to initiate 2 separate network requests, which are then run concurrently by the futures join macro. The program waits for both requests to complete before proceeding, which is much more efficient than fetching them sequentially. The responses are then retrieved, unwrapped to handle potential errors, and printed to the console. This is a real-world use case, fetching data in parallel, like hitting multiple microservices at once. Now suppose you want to read and write files asynchronously. In Tokio, the program first uses Tokio fs write to non-blockingly write the string, hello Tokio, to a file named hello.txt. It then uses Tokio fs read to string to non-blockingly read the content back from the same file. The await calls in both cases pause the function until the I/O operation is complete, but they do so without blocking the thread, allowing other tasks to run. Finally, the content is printed to the console. In Smol, using async fs. Async fs write is used to non-blockingly write hello Smol to a file. The program then uses async fs read to string to non-blockingly read the content back. The await calls on both operations pause execution until the I/O is complete, but they allow the runtime to perform other tasks concurrently. The content is then printed to the console. This is handy for web servers or apps that need to write logs and read configs efficiently. Now let's go one step further and write a simple echo server. With Tokio, the program binds a TCP listener to 8080 and enters an infinite loop. Inside the loop, it uses listener.accept to asynchronously wait for an incoming connection. When a connection is received, Tokio spawn creates a new, lightweight task to handle the client. This allows the server to continue accepting new connections without waiting for the current one to finish. The spawn task enters another loop to read data from the client's socket using socket.read. If data is received, it is immediately written back to the client using socket.writeAll, effectively echoing the message. The loop continues until the client disconnects or an error occurs. With Smol, the core logic is the same. It binds to a port, accepts incoming connections, and spawns a new task to handle each client, echoing back any data it receives. The main differences from the Tokio example are: runtime entry. It uses small block on to run the main async block. API naming. While both libraries provide similar functionality, the names differ. For example, Smol's connection object is often referred to as a stream, while Tokio's is a socket. Task management. The Smol spawn call is followed by detach. This is necessary for the main loop to continue without holding on to the spawn task's handle, a detail that the Tokio example handles implicitly or differently. Echo servers like these form the foundation of chat servers, multiplayer games, and simple network daemons. Now imagine you need a job that runs every few seconds, like cleaning up expired sessions. Here is the Tokio version. The time interval call creates an interval that ticks every 5 seconds. The for loop then runs 3 times. In each iteration, interval.tick.await pauses the program's execution for exactly 5 seconds in a non-blocking way. This means the program yields control back to the runtime, allowing other tasks to run. Let's look at the Smol version. In each iteration, Smol timer after .await pauses execution for 5 seconds without blocking the thread. This allows other asynchronous tasks to be executed by the runtime during the wait. This is a pattern you'll use for cron-like services, periodic data syncs, or refreshing caches. So to recap, async in Rust requires a runtime, and today we explored 2 of them, Tokio and Smol. We saw how to write basic tasks, simulate network calls, and even build little real-world examples like fetching multiple stocks or checking website availability. As you continue building async applications, you'll find yourself choosing between these runtimes depending on your needs. The great news is, Rust gives you both power and flexibility here.